This video is a film study look at Detroit Lions rookie wide receivers Isaac Teslaa and Dominic Lovett, two guys that combined for 7 catches, I believe 77 yards, 12 on 12 targets. A couple of mistakes, don't get me wrong, or things that they individually need to improve on. They're different players from a physical standpoint and what they're being asked to do. I thought it was obvious, however, that they each brought some potential to the game and displayed their strengths and the reasons why Brad Holmes in the front office drafted them in the third and seventh round, respectively. Starting with Lovett, he's very shifty in a couple of instances. He did lead things off with a drop on the first possession. Had a couple of route issues, perhaps later on in the game. I can speculate on one against a zone defense in the third quarter. Ended up with 5 catches on 9 targets. Teslaa, the third round pick that Detroit obviously gave up a lot for to acquire in the draft, to move up and then pick or select in the draft. He looked the part. He was 2 for 2 on designed play action over concepts or over routes. So those are simple, right? He had free releases. He was also jarred one time or moved off his position by a corner on Kyle Allen's second interception. But for me, I thought Teslaa looked like the guy who was the most physically ready to contribute in a regular season game. Let's get to the film and see what they were able to get done in an otherwise tough game for a lot of the Lions' third stringers and rookies. Start one off here with Lovett from the first possession. He's up at the top. I'll generally spot shadow him in yellow and or Teslaa in blue. It's a little in cut from the boundary out of 11 personnel, very similar to some concepts that Ben Johnson utilized a ton in his tenure as the Lions offensive coordinator. Tight end is the blue route, kind of holding or expanding that inside linebacker a little bit, who's spot shadowed in orange. And then Lovett as the outside receiver, the Z, if you will. He's bringing his route over the top of that inside linebacker, a little bit of an in cut. Quick decision by Kyle Allen. I will give you the end zone angle, and so you'll be able to see the window that opens up. And when I say the window, I mean the window between these two defenders here, the inside linebacker to the boundary. And I believe that's Junior Colson, the former Michigan inside linebacker, lined up at Mike. End zone angle, same play. I think this is Colson, and then this is the aforementioned inside linebacker that's really going to deal with the route by Zylstra, the third string tight end for the Lions. Zylstra actually gets kind of knocked off of, loses balance here a little bit with slight contact, but you can see the window that develops. I'm not doing it justice necessarily because I'm pausing the video, but you can see the window there right in Lovett's hands. Unfortunately, a drop for him on his first actual target. 3rd and 9, this is Allen's first interception, the one that almost went for a pick six. This is actually moving forward onto the second possession. It's a 3rd and 9, and Lovett is spot shadowed up at the top side screen. China out, whip route, whatever you want to call it. I like his feet, his ability to change direction, put his foot in the ground, turn pretty quickly. You might lose him a little bit. There's the camera's moving often on this in this film that in a way that sometimes makes it tough to track people. You can see it's kind of expanding. It's called the all-22, right? They're trying to make sure that they get all 22 players in the camera pre-snap and then as well as post-snap. Well, to me, it's kind of like, why don't you zoom out a touch here? Because you know you're going to zoom out 1.5 to 1 seconds into the play, which is what occurs on pretty much every pass play. It's 3rd and 9. That's my point. A little bit of awareness or increased awareness would be nice for whoever's operating the camera. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Lovett's not targeted here, right? The actual target is Kennedy on the out. The corner is taking this. Look, the Chargers defense, they do a great job, right? Came from Michigan, clearly with Harbaugh. There's a connection with McDonald and the Ravens. I think that what they do with their DBs, how they read stuff and their awareness is just incredibly high. Move on a little bit to Teslaa. This is going to be an over concept, and you're going to see, in fact, 2 plays in a row here. It's essentially the same concept, play action / flood. And in fact, both teams, the Lions and the Chargers, almost like they agreed to run similar offenses because there were 3 or 4 concepts that both teams ran repeatedly. So that's very interesting to me. And as a coach, high school level, obviously it's a very low level. I'm familiar with contacting coaches for a scrimmage and saying, hey, okay, what are you going to run? And here's what we'll run to kind of prepare each other and give each other's defense, and kids an opportunity to be prepared. So you see what I mean when I talked about in the lead-in for as far as Teslaa. Free release across here. That's Tony Jefferson, a player who really didn't belong on the field here at all for the Chargers. He shouldn't be playing against the quality of players he's playing against. TJ can still play in a regular season, but the burst the speed of Teslaa, all the separation is here. I think, perhaps this corner was a little bit surprised by how quickly he's able to get there. It's a simple route concept. He doesn't have to, quote, necessarily beat anybody. I do like the way he finishes, and it gives you an idea of how strong um, he is at the point of attack, that, he doesn't end up on the ground at all. He's just got all the size, speed, and athleticism that you want. Really cool package for a guy that the Lions have, in the building for at least 4 years. Play action boot. You also have a hide portion attached to this. So hide is this tight end. Let me pull this back a little bit. So we're talking about Zylstra here. And on the snap, he's going across the heels of the offensive lineman. And so he's going to work into the flats in the direction that Kyle Allen is going to boot. Additional to that, you've got Teslaa working across the field, and he's absolutely wide open. Zylstra in the flats could also be targeted as well. You can see he has out-leveraged the edge defender or outside linebacker. Easy play, don't get me wrong, at that level, but it illustrates, what Teslaa is capable of from a physical standpoint, clearly if he gets free releases. With a full head of steam there after that clean release, it's kind of difficult to imagine any DB, starting caliber or otherwise, is going to really be able to bring him down if they go up high like that. I do wonder what Teslaa's ability is going to be right now in the preseason if he gets tighter coverage. We get other preseason games, 3 of them, kind of fortunately and unfortunately. It's a double-edged sword. I want to see how his size, speed, athleticism, his great hands, how that translate if people are getting physical with him a little bit. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just interested to see that, and it'll give us an idea of how much he'll be able to contribute and how soon. Really the exact same concept here from a different personnel grouping in a different formation. Teslaa is spot shadowed at the bottom in blue. It's a 21 personnel grouping. The only thing that makes this a little bit different is this route by Teslaa. It's not an over concept. It's really an in cut from the backside of dig, if you will. Talk about the fullback's path here in a moment after we let it run through at least one time. Same concept, if you ask me, play action. Allen's not booting here, though. It's really just a straight play action. So he's kicking back and then ends up scrambling or shuffling out to the right-hand side to find Teslaa, like I said, coming all the way across the field. But to me, you're talking about a high-low out to the top side. I'm not exactly sure what they're looking for from the standpoint of Allen being prepared to throw the ball and all of these routes being a little bit deeper down the field. I'm talking about Teslaa's route here, a dig at like 12 to 14, and then what looks to me like a vertical route by Tom Kennedy. So it doesn't really seem to be synced up here in terms of the drop and the guys making themselves available or really being unavailable to receive the football on what looks to me like a 5-step drop. Give you the end zone angle so you can see how wide open Teslaa is again, and then once again not being taken down. Talk about the fullback a little bit. This is classic Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson stuff, but at this point you probably have to say that this is more so Dan Campbell in that it's been installed, it's been here for years. Jason Kabinda was one of the first guys that I saw do it. The Titans under Arthur Smith previously when Derrick Henry was there, they did this as well. So that's the midline, that yellow line, okay? The ball's actually about 1.5 feet to the right of that, the way that we're looking at it on the screen. But watch the fullback's path. The fullback and the tailback, Craig Reynolds, are both going to go to our left, their left on the screen. And then the fullback's going to hide underneath of the offensive line. And really, it's just a hide concept by the tight end, the exact same thing that Zylstra did on the previous play. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Let it go in slow motion. On the previous video for Hassanin and Nate Lynn, some people indicated that when I slowed things down like this, it was a little choppy, so my apologies for that. Try to keep this a little bit smoother, but there you go, fullback stepping opposite and then hiding underneath. If the fullback had lined up, let's say with his feet here, and you executed the same exact play action fake, he would be in the exact same timing, or very similar timing, I should say, running across the field as he is right now, stepping to the left off the midline to clear for Allen and then veer back out into the flat. So when I say it's a high-low, I'm talking about this route being the low, and then obviously Teslaa on the in-cut dig, if you will, from the backside, being the high, in the high-low. Wide open, nice throw by Allen, gets him in stride, for a huge game. Couple of 20-yard plus catches on his only 2 targets. Both guys run a snag concept here. When I say both guys, I mean Teslaa and Lovett. And so something went wrong here, but it brings up an interesting point. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of this, whereby basically it's a shield for the first receiver, a shield by Teslaa, and then the second snag being Lovett underneath. I don't think this one's intentional for a couple of reasons. But one thing to notice for Lovett, the change of speed, right? He's slow getting out of here. His release is slow. So I get it. There'll be some people who say, okay, well, Teslaa's releasing quicker, and Lovett is slower. So he's trying to go underneath of the drag or space that's created by Teslaa. It really, almost kind of looks like a drop cover 3 here, or an insert cover 3 here by the safety. I'm talking about this safety here inserting underneath, and then these being your underneath 4 droppers with a 3 deep DBs there, close to the high red zone. So once Lovett catches it, quick burst to get out of there. When he puts his foot in the ground, he moves. I call it, plant point burst, agility, whatever you want to refer to it as. He's got some bursts to get out of there to change his speed from slow and almost skip a gear, right? If you've ever driven a manual shift or a stick shift car, getting from first to third or maybe second to fourth if you've ever given that a shot. You might see this one more from the double snag standpoint. I'm talking about both of these routes being short and acting as a shield concept, if you will, for the underneath guy. I do think that's a mistake. I don't think that's the design of it. I could very well be wrong. You're welcome to let me know, what your experience is with a double snag concept, and if someone else has broken it down a little bit better than I have. Same possession. This is going to be the interception to Teslaa, by the way. Third possession, 3rd and 3. And I think it's a poor throw by Kyle Allen. I didn't really spend a lot of time breaking it down in video form, but we'll talk about it a little bit here. Very clean pocket for Kyle Allen. There's really no reason to not be able to get this ball in a better position. I do think that Teslaa's got to do a better job up here at the top side. From here on out right now, of having some awareness of that DB is going to try to put his hands on me and then ride me out towards the sideline. And again, I understand that the video kind of gets a little choppy when I slow it down. Perhaps that's a little bit better there. I don't think this is a very well-thrown football at all. I think Teslaa could be another, 3 feet further towards the ball, but I still think that Kyle Allen's got to put this ball in a better spot, and I think that Teslaa's got to be a little bit stronger with that corner kind of riding him, pushing him out to the sideline. Is a great catch by Tony Jefferson, who's going to be able to make a play on the ball either way, right? Let's say Allen puts that throw 3.5, 4 feet to the right. Maybe 4 feet's a little bit too much, but in any case, maybe Allen puts that ball a little further out for Teslaa. I'd still think Tony Jefferson's going to be able to get there. He's settling under it because of the pace, or the lack thereof, I should say. Velocity maybe is the better word. It's a floater, and TJ's able to go grab it. Man, Tony Jefferson is one of my favorite veteran players in the NFL. If you don't know his story, take 3 or 4 minutes and research it. Guy retired from the NFL, I believe, after the 2022 season. Spent 2023 as a advanced scout to a degree. I'm not sure what his exact role was in the Baltimore Ravens front office. He had played for the Ravens twice before, and then decided to come back and play football in 2024 and played extremely well. I did 2 film study videos on him last season, one in the preseason when he had a ridiculous game against the Dallas Cowboys, the final game of the preseason, in fact. That game may have saved his spot on the roster. I don't know, but he performed for the Chargers in 2024 during the regular season, and he's going to get a shot in 2025 as well. All right, let's move on to talk about Lovett a little bit. A different player, as I said. People may refer to him as a possession receiver because he's shifty, changes speeds well, like I covered already. I do think he's smart. You have the double snag situation, so someone messed up, in my opinion, either him or Teslaa, and then a third down where he kind of stops short a little bit and Hooker overthrows him in the third quarter. But I thought he showed some promise, right? Winning against man on third downs, in fact, on a fourth down, I should say. He probably needs to get physically stronger at some point. I think he's a very good prospect for a 7th-round selection. I believe he was named first-team all-conference in the SEC as a junior when he transferred from Missouri to Georgia. So a nice pick for that position in the draft, in my opinion. And someone that I'm looking forward to seeing more film of in the preseason. Again, he's spot shadowed in yellow up here. and then Teslaa is down at the bottom of the screen. This is going to be a designed wind back, I will call it. The running back's path is illuminated in blue. The right tackle is the orange line indicating that he's blocking this edge defender right here. And then Lovett is tracked by the yellow line. He's going to go get this safety that's walked up into the box right here. I would call this an insert concept. Jill ISO is what we used to call it, but it's a wind back. The running back is stepping off the midline. He's stepping to the quarterback's left, the top side of our screen. And the reason why it's designed that way is to get players at the second level moving in this direction. They're locking it on the backside with the tackle, meaning he's stepping to the edge defender, kind of opening up this huge B gap lane here for A, Lovett to first insert into to go get the safety, and then B, the running back to follow through. I think you've got a designed wind back off of what looks like a zone with a lock call, or what I know as a lock call. Other people, have different terminologies for it. Same play, end zone angle, okay? And so pay attention to Reynolds' step getting off the midline. If you're not familiar with that, the midline is the center of the football. So in this case, pretty much the inside portion of the right hash. From our perspective, it's the left hash, but from the offense perspective, it's the right. And so there's Reynolds' path, roughly. Okay, he's going to step with the offensive lineman to his left, our right on the screen, and then he's going to veer back off of this down block by 74, and then this attempt by Lovett to go get the safety. We're trying to talk about Lovett and Teslaa in this video. I think Lovett's got to be a little stronger here. Okay? I think he's got to get a bigger piece of this guy, number one, and not give him a two-way go. So here's what I mean by that. And this is just a way that I know how to teach it, and so other people may have a different perspective or a higher level of experience with it than I do. We can't let this guy win to the inside. We can't let him win in here because that's where the running back is, okay? And additional to that, we, as the receiver, we don't know what this second-level defender is doing. We presume that he's going to step in this direction as Reynolds, the running back, works over there to his right, to the number 38's right. However, we don't know if we've got a guy who's going to sit back inside here. So my point is, for what we would teach on the Joe Iso stuff, we wanted to dig the guy out of here. We wanted to get our butt on this side of that defender such that he couldn't fill back inside there. Because that extra level of awareness, 38 may have tried to fit this on the backside. He may have tried to play what some will call a backdoor technique for an inside linebacker. So my point is, I think Lovett has got to get stronger here in terms of his strike, maybe not dip his head as much as well. You can see his helmet comes up some, so he's looking at the ground for a moment, or maybe looking at the defender's feet or hips, and then also got to try to dig him out of there, get to the inside leverage, what I would say is the proper leverage compared to what we saw. You're welcome to let me know if you have a different interpretation of it, or if someone has broke it down in a more detailed fashion than I tried to right there. Similar run concept here, just from a different platform, and this is kind of what I was talking about in the reaction video immediately on Thursday night, where I said, they kept things very basic. Really, Morton was running a lot of the same concepts, just from different personnel groups and just from different alignments by the receivers and tight ends, but still really trying to get the same thing accomplished. Now, Teslaa is on the field up at the top side of the screen, doesn't really have anything to do with this. Lovett is off. It's not fair to compare Kennedy to Lovett as a blocker here because it's a different angle, right? Kennedy's not inserting, but he is going to get the safety, number one. He is a little bit more committed from, same foot, same shoulder, but I like, his angle's better than the insert ISO that Lovett was asked to do. As far as the concept, man, I love this concept. Ben Johnson used it a lot. It's got the same exact steps that I talked about with the fullback earlier. If you recall, the two completions to Teslaa, the second of which had the fullback stepping off the midline. Remember, the midline is here now, the left hash. So the fullback stepping off the midline and then veering back here. The only difference is now he's going to get the edge defender. So this is a concept that's been in the Lions playbook for years, dating back to 2022, like I said, with Jason Kabinda. And so, again, I think you've got a running back who's designed wind back here. You can see the wall that's kind of been created. It's not nice and clean for us to see, but it's a wind back concept, designed wind back. Kennedy, in this case, went and got the strong safety. Reynolds tried to skip out of that corner's tackle. There's Kennedy's path. Additional to that, you've got the tight end to the side. So some real genius from the design. And, every offensive coordinator, every high-level college coordinator is doing stuff like this. And so what I mean by that is they're widening up that edge defender. The edge defender who's spot shadowed in blue, he's forced to widen up a little bit for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a three-man surface. So you've got guard, tackle, and then tight end. So physically, or just from a geometric standpoint, this edge defender is wider than he would be if this tight end was over on the other side. He would be a little bit tighter alignment. His feet would probably be in this direction. And so the reason why I took a moment to explain that, or at least try to explain it, is he would be closer to the ball when this wind back occurs, he being that edge defender that's spot shadowed right there. So the design is make it look like it's going in this direction from the running, from that in that direction from the running back standpoint, and then use the fullback to kick out this edge defender who's already been widened up. And then Kennedy does a nice job of coming down here. He didn't have to dig out that safety. He already had leverage, same foot, same shoulder, more power, able to hold him off. Reynolds runs through the corner's tackle, and then actually it's the second safety to make the tackle. I misspoke a moment ago. I think you've got the same possession, 3rd and 11. I believe this is the 15-play drive, in fact, in the second quarter. The Lions' only touchdown. It's a third and 11. Teslaa is spot shadowed up at the top. Really nothing to pay attention to here, other than the safety dedicated to his side is clearly looking in this direction for work from the bunch side. That's common, right? Unless you've got a generational or special X receiver up there to the boundary, a lot of times that boundary safety is going to be looking for work from the trip side. This is a nice completion to Lovett over the middle. It's clearly a man-free coverage call by the Chargers. The only difference is that the backside safety is immediately looking over here for work. Zylstra's running underneath, covered up by in man. And then Lovett is bringing his delayed shake slant, if you will, back to the inside. So we're talking about what Lovett does right here. Just a little bit of a shake, kind of Julian Edelman-esque, putting his outside foot in the ground, planting and bursting. Takes a big hit. He's tough. Looks like a good player for us. Like I said, a 7th-round pick, in my opinion. Good timing on the catch, and then accepting the hit from the boundary side safety. Look at the run that the boundary side safety has. I mean, he's going to come from this direction. Got a pretty good head of steam to lay a shot on Lovett, who holds on to the football. Same drive here, and this is a little bit to talk about both guys trying to block. It's an 11 personnel group, and Teslaa and Lovett are lined up together to the field. It's a pin pull toss out of a formation that I would call twin slot. So both guys are assigned to pin down. In this case, Lovett has the tougher block for 2 reasons. Number one, he's dealing with an edge defender, right? A bigger guy, a defensive end / outside linebacker, if you will. And also, he does not have a superior angle, and you'll get an idea of that from the end zone. Teslaa has an easy angle, or easier, simpler angle is the way that I should phrase that. And Lovett gets beat across his face, which, cannot happen here. He's worried about the OLB kind of disrupting things on the inside. I think it's just a lack of experience at this particular level. He's obviously got way more experience than me personally. But what I mean is he can't allow this guy to cross his face and possibly disrupt the play. It's a toss concept. The running back is catching it deep and then getting horizontal, running towards the sideline. So if the outside linebacker goes underneath, good, just stay on him. You can lose, but still win on this block if he gets to the inside. Here, you lose and you lose. And what I mean by that is the edge defender plays a role in forcing the running back to take it to the outside, which is where the play is designed to go. But this block, the pulling tackle, is designed to give the cornerback no good options, right? You want the running back to possibly be able to bend this downhill right now or keep it bounced to the outside. He couldn't really do that because the edge defender is kind of in tow, in pursuit from the backside. So Lovett's got to miss. I'd like to see Teslaa, who's really working hard here, to be honest with you, as a blocker. Again, he's got a superior angle. I'd like to see him not have to give his heels away, meaning backpedal as much as he did, so that if Lovett did a better job here, there would actually be a seam that occurs somewhere in this area for the running back to cut it underneath of the tackle's pull and really skirt away from all of this trouble that's pursuing from the backside. The Lions didn't have a great night blocking at all. And you get a real good idea here of the angle that Lovett does not have, right? So you would say it's a whole lot easier angle if he Lovett's feet are out here. Maybe it's one of those plays where there needs to be the ability to do that, to motion him out slightly and then bring him directly back in. So he has a little bit more of a head of steam to go get that outside linebacker. It's not a horrible job. I'm just saying that he could be a whole lot better at it the very next time we see him, because the Lions coaches get an opportunity to focus on it and communicate it to him directly. This one's going on quite long, but I really love that concept, the pin pull toss or pin pull pitch, right? It's all about angles. We want to give our wide receivers or tight ends or whoever's lined up out there the angle to pin down on people that are bigger than them, right? In the case of the play that we just saw, a safety for Teslaa and then an outside linebacker edge defender for Lovett. It's just an illustration, if you ask me, that another illustration, I should say, of the offensive staff was calling plays to see if guys can execute things, right? Lovett needs to get significantly better in that area, but he had an inferior angle compared to Teslaa, who started to lose his feet a little bit, but I thought did a great job of fighting and staying with it to at least give the running back an opportunity to bring that thing more downhill than it occurred. Two nice opportunities to look at Lovett from a footwork standpoint and how they trust him, and we're giving him opportunities to make plays. The same drive, the same possession, 3rd and 5, slot screen to Lovett, and this one almost hits. So Zylstra is to go get the nickel defender who's lined up over the top of Lovett. And then Skipper, I think, is supposed to get this safety right here, who is, the guy that basically makes the tackle and prevents Lovett from either A, getting the first down or possibly having space to make a move and get into the end zone. It's not Skipper's fault. There's two guys rushing. There's two players rushing off that edge. I'll give you the end zone angle. I'm talking about these two guys here. And unfortunately, Skipper has to go outside of this player. So watch Skipper's path. He touches the guy and then bows back a little bit. And all of that ground that he loses in here is what causes, or what allows, I should say, that safety who's lined up at depth to be able to get to Lovett before Skipper can get there. There's the path that I'm talking about. He had to bow outside a little bit, as opposed to being a little bit more direct and letting that edge defender slip by him. Really, he's not an edge defender. It's another safety that the Chargers are bringing. So there is Skipper, same play from the end zone angle, kind of impeded by the outside rusher here, a safety 36. Watch the path that he has to take, and as a result, he can't get there to 40 as quickly as you would like. You can see he's actually behind Lovett here. If he was able to take a slightly different path, if 36 wasn't there on that called blitz, maybe Skipper's feet are here, and Lovett can bring this off the backside and squeeze between 40 and Skipper's backside and all of this pursuit into that tunnel, essentially, and maybe get the first down and or get into the end zone. Ensuing play, again, they go to Lovett. It's a 4th and 1. Really good feet. Watch him plant his inside foot, his left foot, when he breaks to the outside. And immediately, he's smooth. I think he's got really good feet. That's a good player for a 7th-round pick. I mean, I don't feel qualified to say that players should be taken in a particular round. I'm not a huge fan of that in general, even in the pre-draft process. But to me, Lovett looks like a guy that probably could have been drafted a round or two earlier, maybe late 5th round. I have no idea what his testing scores were. I know he produced in the SEC. Looked up his career stats. The math didn't really math. It looked like 142 career catches. Doesn't make sense. I thought he had 50-plus catches in his last 3 years, 2 at Georgia and then his sophomore season at Missouri. Sounds like to me it should have been at least 150 or 160 or more. In any case, same blitz here, similar blitz, I should say, look pre-snap by the Chargers. They've got a DB, number 27, lined up off the edge, this time over the right tackle, and then an edge defender looking like he's possibly going to go big gap. 27 actually doesn't rush. He kind of stops because the quarterback looks to him and tries to get up in the air. I mean, you just get an idea of the margin for error that there is in the NFL, even in preseason games, right? It's extremely small. It's cool that Lovett held on to this football. You'd like to see him secured in a more consistent fashion. We really obviously lose the route from this end zone angle, but you get an idea of the contact with the ground and the defender behind him that he had to deal with in trying to secure the football. It's why you got to catch it once, not twice, right? Unfortunately, for the Lions and for us, he did get the first down. Moving on a little bit, one more thing about Teslaa. I do think that this is Lovett at the top of the screen, but I may be wrong there. It's a really cool example. It's one-on-one. I think you got an angled punt or directional punt to the Lions' right, so the guys kind of know where the ball should go, and it looks like a pretty good one from Jack Fox. Nice release from Teslaa from a flat stance, so he's taking kind of a bucket step with his inside foot, his left foot, to then push off of it, and then gain ground, and then cross over quick. You get an idea of the athleticism, and he absolutely runs past this guy. By the time Teslaa in the corner covering him, by the time they get to like the 45 or the 40, this guy knows, okay, there's nothing I can do here, right? If I block him at this point, I'm going to be blocking him in the back. So he gears down. It ends up being a fair catch. Just showed this play to get an idea of the athleticism, what they're asking Teslaa to do. I may be wrong here. It looks to me like this is Lovett, but again, feel free to correct me in the comment section if that's not true. Finally, the last play that I'll show, and this kind of reflects a little bit negatively on Lovett. It's a 3rd and 14. Maybe it's a 3rd and 11, but I'm pretty sure 3rd and 14. It's in the third quarter when Hendon Hooker is in at quarterback. It's a zone defense. It's really what I call an insert cover 3. Now, you may say, well, Coach, it really doesn't look like an insert cover 3 to me because these 4 guys are not in a straight line. Well, that's true, but in what I know in a 3rd and long cover 3 coverage, it's obviously okay to have your heels at the line to gain. And in this case, the line to gain is the 45. And that's actually what a lot of these guys are taught when they're dropping down from a safety depth, is to get your heels at the line to gain where they need to get the first down. And then you can see everything in front of you. Go make the tackle if it's completed in front of you. In this case, it's not. But if you accept my assertion, we've got a somewhat broken looking cover 3. That's not irregular. That's not uncommon, I should say. The second level defenders, inside linebackers, just aren't getting as much depth as the safety because he began at depth. He began at significantly more depth than they did. He's lined up at safety. Lovett kind of sits this down for whatever reason. I think he's reading this safety right here. I think he's seeing that safety sitting down at the line. So instead of getting more depth, he sits down, maybe a little too short. Hooker reads it differently. And I may be, really wrong. I don't really have a ton of experience teaching receivers to read routes, depending on which safety they're reading. To me, it looked like Lovett was looking directly at that guy. You get an idea from the end zone angle what I'm talking about. Here's the safety. Here's Lovett, who's going to sit down well short of the first down, don't get me wrong. Hooker, to me, looks like he's thinking Lovett is going to go a little bit deeper and perhaps a little bit more in towards that safety. So, maybe you want to call it a miscommunication. It's really guys reading something differently. I think Hooker's eyes at first go here, probably to the field side safety, and then after that, immediately, I think they go to the boundary side safety. I think he picks that up, but, again, I have no idea of the teaching progression. That's just what I think I see from the end zone angle film, and you're welcome to let me know if you have a different opinion. There's Lovett sitting down, the ball being overthrown. From a reality standpoint, overthrown, being thrown over the top of the receiver who he is targeting. It's not that Hooker couldn't throw it more accurately. It's just those guys had a different reading. And in fact, at the end of the play, you can see them kind of looking at each other. I still think Lovett showed potential to win against man. Good feet. He did seem to slip some on that play and perhaps one other. I could see him scoring a couple touchdowns in a preseason game for Lovett, either on a screen or a 3rd or 4th down win in the end zone. The Lions have 4 preseason games, which seems kind of crazy given how long the regular season is now, 17 games. On one-time viewing, he's got to get better as a blocker and maybe route awareness against zone, maybe. But I'm not concrete on that assessment here. I'm just going off the last play that we kind of covered. The 4th down play, I think, is big for his confidence and the quarterback's confidence in him as well. And hopefully he gets more of those opportunities here in the preseason moving forward. Teslaa, to me, looked like the most physically ready guy to contribute on offense, along with Craig Reynolds, clearly, right? I think Reynolds kind of whiffed on one blitz pickup, but Teslaa, also had mostly free releases, like I explained earlier. He gets on those over routes so quick when he's not being impeded at all. The one time that he was impeded, the route that I showed, the interception, Kyle Allen's second interception, he got expanded some more towards the sideline. I think he could have ran a better route, number one. Number two, I think he could have been a little bit more aware that the corner's going to touch him when he turns towards the sideline. If the corner man turns at the NFL level, he's going to make contact with you, right? It was a poor throw from Allen. And Tony Jefferson, who, I've already praised and lauded a lot, he's going to make those plays. I like Teslaa. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of him on third downs being targeted. And it seemed like a lot of vertical releases on third down. I hope in the next preseason game or two, he plays like the entire first half on offense, and the staff, test him a little bit, meaning test him with a little bit more targets, so a little bit more responsibility against man, and maybe teams actually get up on top of him and press him and touch him a little bit. I certainly am not saying that I think he'll do worse or perform poorly. I'd like to see what he can do and see how ready he is and how soon that day will come. In any case, please let me know if you enjoyed the video in the comment section. I recognize this one went on quite long, but I've been waiting a long time to break down some of the film for the Ravens and Lions in preseason, and here we are, so I'm excited about it. I hope you are too. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this video, please consider grabbing a link to it and sharing it out on social media so this content can get more reach.